One day, human beings stumbled over the discovery of that power, which will enable them to fly. The discovery was made in the forbidden lab of China's imperial palace. Chinese emperors paid alchemists in their search for that miraculous agent that was supposed to have the power of infinitively prolonging life and of turning stone into gold. They never really made it, but they by chance put the right materials together in right proportions and created the agent that gave a blast powerful enough to turn their table upside down. That is the agent that shaped the history of the world, gunpowder. In the Tang Dynasty, chemist Sun Simiao described how gunpowder was made in his classic of chemical agents. Chinese knew what miracle gunpowder could play at least 1,000 years ago, and they found a very cute use of it. They made firecrackers to add to the noise made by drums and gongs, which they always played for festival. The principle of reaction, later specified by scientists in Europe, found its first application in China only in entertainment. Firecracker makers observed the propelling effect gunpowder makes while burning an inventive firework that still lightens the night sky on holidays. These varieties of fireworks are different from their precursors in that they are not thrown into the sky but propelled by the thrust that is obtained in the combustion of gunpowder.
那么这个是从真正的意义上来说，这才是叫火箭，因为它依靠那个火药往后喷气，产生一种反作用力，然后把这个箭推出去啊。这个就是大概在离现在1000年在宋朝的时候，那么这样一种就真正的利用反作用力这种火箭就诞生了。
The earliest use of rocket in war that can be dated in history is in the Battle of Kaifeng in 1232 between the Song dynasty and the Jin intruders, who first saw fire arrows flying at them. A technical manual Fire Dragon written in the Ming dynasty describes how this primitive rocket was made. The Fire Dragon consists of a bamboo stick 1.6 meters long, iron arrow top 13 centimeters long, iron weight on the rear that is 1.2 centimeters long, and a paper tube that contains gunpowder in it. A launch also requires either a launching pad or a bamboo or wood vessel, depending on what is handy in war. This is the precursor of a modern rocket. The paper tube is the solid engine, and the bamboo stick the balancing device. Although very simple and unreliable, Fire Dragon has all the 4 major parts of modern ballistic missile and only lacks the tubes, bolts, wires, and a control system that ensure a better flight of modern rocket. Pioneers in rocket science invented different uses for this technology to serve different purposes. They had combined rockets, which, when bound together, gave great thrust and ensure long range and big payload. An 2-stage rocket is a system in which 2 rockets are assembled in tandem and ignited in turn, which can achieve prolonged range. A typical example of this is described in the classic of Fire Dragon as Fire Dragon Coming from the River. This early 2-stage rocket is made of a bamboo stick nearly 2 meters long, with a rocket fastened on each side and several rockets encased within. The major rocket sent the Dragon flying 1.3 meters above the water for up to 1.5 kilometers. Then rockets inside the Dragon are ignited and propelled the missile further to the enemy ship. It is not hard to imagine the panic among the combatants on board the ship when they saw the fire-breathing Dragon dashing at them. An attack is fatal when it comes in disguise. This shield that can shoot arrows when the foe is never expected will certainly gain advantage for its user in the battlefield. An official document of Ming emperors related a battle fought in 1400, in which a number of missiles were launched at once with the lethal effect of machine guns in modern warfare. Mass missiles were given names that were supposed to squash the enemies. 10 rockets launched together was called Fire Bowler. A 20 rocket missile was called Fire Dragon. A 40 rocket missile was Pumas, and a 100 rocket missile was Tigers. All these missiles were launched at the sign and had an overwhelming effect in a combat that involved a large number of troops. And all of them were propelled by self-contained fuel and oxidant, which, by means of combustion, give injection of gases that pushes the missile forward. All the major parts of a modern rocket are present in these primitive missiles and made them precursor of today's spacecraft. Rocket technology was improved considerably in the Yuan dynasty. The kill was no longer done by the sharpened tip of the rocket, but by explosion and scorch. In the 16th century, General Qi Jiguan equipped his troops with these improved missiles. The rocket he used was over 1.6 meters long with propellant fastened to it, and could be launched up to 300 meters. It was an advanced weapon in battles against the Japanese intruders. Applications of reaction can be seen everywhere in our life. But we may not give them attention any more than the firecracker makers might ever realize that they were actually the early rocket scientists. Their invention is of simple structure, but it requires sophisticated technique to make it a reliable weapon. And the technical difficulties encountered by ancient inventors still have to be handled with great care by today's rocket experts. Conqueror's War helped introduce rocket technology to the West. After the sword of Genghis Khan smashed the castles of medieval Europe, people in the West woke up from their nightmare of Dark Age to the dawn of a new civilization. Having been thwarted for the long Dark Age, Western ingenuity now began to stir, inspired by Eastern know-how. Gunpowder and rocket technology, introduced into the West by the Arabians, were invaluable gifts to the Europeans, who learned what miracle the reaction of gunpowder could work from Chinese, but found a new use of their credit for this technology in steam engine, and combined the dynamic power with gunpowder. That combination gave birth to a new generation of weapons that changed the way human beings have been fighting by greater extent than ever before. There came the era of hot weapons. In the year 1609, when Italian scientist Galileo pointed his telescope for the first time towards the moon, he saw through it massive mountains and plains on the surface of the moon. That is the first close observation man ever had of the satellite of the Earth. 23 years later, he published his dialogue concerning the two chief world systems, Ptolemaic and Copernican. His favor for Copernicus' astronomy, in which the sun was considered the center of the universe, made the Roman Catholic Church angry. He was put under home arrest for 8 years by the Inquisition, and his trial was not reversed until the early 1980s, 320 years after Galileo's death, when the Church, under Pope John Paul II, acknowledged that was a mistake. By that time, Apollo had already sent man onto the moon. Technology considerably extends our eyes, our arms and legs. Spacecrafts that navigate the universe keep sending us information about the cosmos. One day we may get prepared to fulfill that haunting aspiration to the departure from the Earth, our home.